the essence of unfiltered, no? We'll just chit chatting. We'll start with chit chatting.
Is when me and Vedant just had some, like, we got sick at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should continue it, I think.
Yeah.
And I never edited it. I got so busy. That was the time when I went back to London.
So at what exact time are we going live? It's
Right
9:45
now.
already.
Right now.
So could anyone give a countdown when we are about to start?
Yeah, Pallavi will be starting, so I guess.
You can like start responding in the chat.
I have started it. I think yeah, we are live now. Yeah, we are.
So shall
Is
I
when me and
start?
Vedant
Yeah.
just had some, like,
Hello world. I am Anusuya Sizapati, a beta
we
Microsoft
got
student
sick
partner
at the
from
same time.
Nepal, and I am one of
We should
the
continue it,
host for
I think.
today's live stream.
Yeah.
Welcome
I
to
never
this
edited
very
it.
first stream of
I got
MSP
so busy.
Unfiltered. To all of you
That was the
wondering
time
what
when I
MSP
went
Unfiltered
back
is,
to London.
we are a group of 4 MSPs who came up with this unique idea on portraying the struggles and failures of our favorite MSPs. I guess we all are
Right now.
familiar with their success and achievements. And now it's finally the time we bring you the parts of their struggles as well. Now let me
Yeah, Pallavi will
introduce
be
you to
starting,
my
so I
team.
guess.
I have beautiful
You
and
can
talented
like
Simran
start
Makhiza
responding in the
as
chat.
my co-host for today. Simran, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Simran Makheja, a beta student partner
Is
from
when me and
India.
Vedant
Yeah, and thank you so much for the compliment, Anusia.
had some, like,
Most welcome. Hello world. I am now, I'd like to introduce Miss Pallavi Agrawal. She's one of the most talented person I've ever seen. So Pallavi, would you like to introduce yourself? Of MSP Unfiltered.
Hi guys.
To all of you
the
wondering
time
what
when I went
MSP Unfiltered
back
is,
to London.
we are a group of 4 MSPs who came up with this unique idea on portraying. Thank you so much, Pallavi. Now we have Rohit.
Right now.
Rohit, would you like to introduce yourself? Familiar with their success and achievements. And now it's finally the time we bring you the parts of their struggles as well. Now let me
Oops, I
introduce you to my
think my
team.
mic went off.
I
So,
have
okay.
beautiful and
Thanks, Anasuya.
talented Simran
Hello,
Makhiza
everyone. I am
as my
Rohit. I am
co-host
a
for
beta
today.
MSP from India.
Simran, would you like to
Thanks for
introduce
joining us
yourself?
today. Let's get going.
Hey everyone, I'm Simran Makheja, a beta student partner
Is
from
when
Now,
India.
Simran, could you please introduce our guest speaker for today?
Our first guest for MSP Unfiltered is somebody that actually does not require any introduction. He is the reason everybody is here today. For our first episode, we have Salman Chishti, an incoming CSA intern at Microsoft, a student from University of Nottingham, a .NET Foundation member, one of the biggest fans of Microsoft we all know, and yeah, one of the coolest people we know, I guess. So, hi
Wow.
Salman, welcome.
Wow, that was. Why are you being so nice against Simon? Simon's too nice. I'm not the reason we're all here today. We're all here today thanks to you and your amazing team and the MSP community in general. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. I really love this initiative. It's a great idea. And I'm
Thank
looking
you,
forward to
Simran.
seeing more.
Hi, Salman. How have you
Hey,
been
I'm
doing?
sorry to interrupt. I think the audio is kind of jumbled. Okay, I think it's better now. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Salman. How have you been doing?
Hey, Anicia. Doing great, thanks. You know,
Great.
yeah. How about you?
I'm great too. Now, Salman, would you like to share with us your very first experience with tech? Like how it was and when did you start?
Sure. So, in terms of my first ever experience with tech, it's quite a long way back, and I'm really lucky in that sense. I think when I was my first pure memory, I think of getting my own like I guess the first device I would use a lot was either a Windows computer, which I think was on Windows XP, and I would used to, sit at that desk after dinner, and I would play. I would play on the computer. You had all these games, the pinball game on Windows, and then you have solitaire. All those games. So those were the sort of things I was into when I was a lot younger, and like as well into games. So like video games, things like that. That was my first, I guess, experience. And you had those computers which had floppy disks. So if you look in Word or PowerPoint or any of these Word tools with Office, Microsoft 365 tools, right? They have that save button. That save button is the icon of a floppy disk. So like I was, I guess I'm still very old in that sense where we had floppy disks back then, and I would try to put them in the computer, and we would use the discs like DVDs and things like that. We would have those radios and like the cassette players, that sort of thing. And I was very lucky. So that's one thing I like to try to do a lot is I like to teach younger children how to code. Or just introduce them to tech in general, because I was lucky enough to have that experience, but not everyone does. So that's one of the things I like when we do teaching, like if we're doing it to underprivileged students or students who have maybe they go to an all-girls school and their curriculum doesn't have any computer science or something like that. It's an area where that's why I feel strongly about it, is because giving back to the community to let them have that exposure at a young age, which they otherwise might not have had. But yeah, I think that's my entry into tech, which again, very lucky. Not everyone does have that experience, and yeah, I think that's how it started.
Could you like briefly tell us about how you got from there to where you are today? Like just a brief overview um, of your interactions with tech, of how you started coding first, maybe, and how your first coding project or something like that. Just the main points of your journey from then, from your first introduction to the world of tech to now, when you're a tech person, basically, right?
So yeah, that's going to be hard. Okay, so it was, I guess, starting off with a Windows PC. I think it was the first thing, and then into like video game consoles. Okay, so like the Game Boy. Does anyone know the Game Boy SP? It's like that one single screen Nintendo device. So they had that, and then they had the Nintendo DS, which my sister had. And those things were all intriguing to me. Eventually, when I got into the Nintendo Wii is where the coding actually began, because I was like 10, 11, right? And I was in primary school, and that was like my first, I guess, experience going into the side. I wanted to actually start modifying games. And I think it was shortly, I'll start with this. So yeah, it was Mario Kart Wii, and there were limitations in the games in terms of you could use, like, after a while games get boring, and you want to start modifying these games. You want to make your own changes. Yes, you can download other people's modifications, and this would be like textures. You could make your own maps. And I was like, okay, wow, people are making their own maps. So I started trying to do all this stuff where I try to create my own maps. I try to create my own textures. And the thing is, it's a niche community. It's a community where there's loads of
Um, we can't hear you for some reason. Your voice went away.
Salman, are you there?
Hey, man, you aren't audible.
Salman.
Oh, okay. Just give
Seems
us a
like
moment.
Salman.
We're facing some technical issues.
Simran, till then, how about we discuss on our own on how our first experience was with tech? Maybe that's how we can move along for now.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Hello.
Yeah, so, oh, okay. Hi, Salman.
Hi. Sorry, technical issues. My
Yeah, yeah. Not a
decided
problem.
to go. But yeah.
Okay,
Let's
Salman,
see.
it is really interesting to know how you have flourished along with time. We have came to know so much about the gaming things that you have done in the past. Now let's jump into the next question, Salvi. I would like to know
Sure.
more on what your first job interview was like.
Yeah. So my first job interview, in terms of first ever job interview, it was I think when I was like in high school, where it was just for one of these teaching things. So going back on what I was saying before, is one thing I like to do is I like to give back and teach others who are younger. So this was actually a tutoring job. Where I would teach people how to do English and maths. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. It was a quite interesting interview though, because like during the interview there was like a big interruption. But that I didn't get that, but it's nice to like go back and think about that and like like 5 years ago I was like interested in teaching people how to do English and maths, and now this is what we basically do as MSPs. We teach people how to use technology, how to even with, for example, when I teach me, that's teaching how to tell people how to use code, but also use maths, how to integrate, instructions. How does that relate to their everyday life? And that's one of the things which I started out teaching before being in the MSP program, was teaching like Edison robot, teaching make code, teaching basic like things on web-based coding. Um, Things like that, Python, even like teaching people how to code a robot, teaching them how to use that, is something which is kind of nice to see how all the path is the sort of the same. It's just changed the domain as to what I'm teaching. And to some extent, maths is basically coding, right? It's logic. If you look at the computer science syllabus, it's going to be discrete maths. It's going to have predicate logic, which is basically the same thing, which is nice. Yeah. I'm gonna try and join back on my computer. My computer crashed. That's what happened. Basically, my whole screen went black. I'll try to join back on there, perhaps. But if not, I think we can just stay here. But yeah, I think that answers that question. Is that okay?
That was absolutely wonderful. That is something that tells us that, you being an MSP is something that you were supposed to be from the very beginning. You like teaching people and you love Microsoft. So the MSP program is sort of the best place to be, I guess, isn't it? We're glad you're here
Yeah, no,
anyway.
I've always been a Microsoft fan since like I was like very young. Like that was like my first ever exposure to computers. Should I continue with that whole story before I cut out about the whole journey?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. We'd love to hear it.
So sure. So that was the whole thing where it went into that whole coding thing with the video games with Mario Kart. And there were limitations in that, yeah, you couldn't, people would make their own maps, so I would try to make my own as well. And then they create their own textures. I would create my own textures, and I believe I used GIMP. So GIMP is like a free photo editor. If any of you use Linux and you don't use Photoshop, like the go-to software, and I think it's open source as well. So I would use that. I would use paint.net as well. And all these applications just to make textures. And I would also make my own cheat codes. When I say cheat codes, they're like modifications of the game. And I think, as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, it might be excusable. I think back then, cheat codes weren't necessarily that I don't know, it wasn't a big yes/no sort of thing. Like you could, I think, if you get banned and stuff, like it gets into max spoofing. Like I would learn how to max spoof. I would learn how to, I guess, maybe IP address spoof and all these things. And that's like, as a 10-year-old, like you don't, like your morals back then was just like, I just want to have fun. I want to just play. So yeah, I mean, you can't really hate on me for doing that, I guess, as I think what I even did, I would call up Nintendo and be like, hey, why am I banned? And I would just learn all these things. And like at that time, I didn't know I was coding. So that was my first exposure to coding. So it went from, playing Game Boy SP, playing my sister's DS when, like she was a kind of like, then, Nintendo Wii. And then Nintendo Wii was where, you get bored of the game. Eventually you want to explore, you want to change things, make it your own. There was these people who made these codes, and they still do this to this day, like 8 years later. And they're like Cambridge people and everything. One of them's now doing his PhD in Cambridge, and they would make this code. And this code, I remember the exact code. It was basically you make yourself invisible. No one else can see you, and then that was incredible. That was an incredible code. But they wouldn't release this. So there were a bunch of codes which would get released. Like you could get infinite items and all these things. But like some codes, like for example, this invisible code was not a thing. Like that would be released. So there was another person and myself. This guy was a lot older as well. But we would try and make our own codes. He would make his own on his own. I wasn't able to see his, but I would also make my own. And it's like some people would try to do that. I think they would just try to make their own version of the code because we had no way of getting it. So that involved me going through. So games back then they used to run on discs, and I think they still do to this day. But I think Xboxes now they have a hard drive only option. But so discs, the ISRs, you can open it up a disk file and you can look into the RAM. I don't recommend this, but that's what I was doing. Looking into the disk files and looking up the floating points and memory addresses of different things in the games. And you could map this and you could figure out what each individual floating point address or floating point and the address would do, and make a modification using hex, doing some like assembly calculations, doing maths, hex code and stuff, and then creating your own version of code. Then you would load this in a game using like an SD card. You would have this whole, if anyone's used to like doing modifications in the Wii, use like homebrew channel and everything. I don't do this anymore, but it was like that was project, and I started creating all these codes. It wasn't always a success, but it was that excitement of it's that stage. I don't know, when you do something so many times, you get fluent at it, and like you have the muscle memory to do things. And it was that's how much I did it. It wasn't a chore to me. It wasn't like I didn't even know I was coding back then. I just thought it was like having fun. Yeah, it was fun. So it's like I never knew I was coding. So then even I did the same thing with Club Penguin, I think. Like there was this thing called Cheat Engine, I think. I don't know if anyone knows that, but it's like you modify the page. I think that is does it go. I can't remember exactly how it works, but like you could go into the Flash player or whatever, you start looking at the I don't know stuff, maybe RAM as well. I can't remember exactly, but like you would make changes there, and there would be all these cool things. Again, I realized that was coding at the time. Technically, that wasn't coding. The Mario Kart stuff was more coding, but I guess that sort of fits the whole idea. So Mario Kart was like 10, 11, I think, and then Club Penguin, when I finally got of age to play Club Penguin, I think it was like 12 or 13. That was that, and then the next stage was Minecraft. So Minecraft, so a lot of people at school would play Minecraft. I used to do a lot of athletics. So I'm into cardio sports like swimming, running, cycling. I would do like 1500 and cross country and things like that. I personally also like to do like competing. So I actually went up to Nottingham to compete in the race when I was like 16, and then now I'm now studying in Nottingham. It's weird. Like that's my only other recollection of ever going up to Nottingham, but it was like my friends when we went to athletics, when we went to competitions, they would talk about Minecraft and they would have all these jokes. And I didn't fit in that sense. Like I did in the other talks, but when they were like, oh yeah, that time they're talking about how they play Minecraft, really wanted to get into it. And one thing I really liked about the whole Minecraft idea was that I could learn so much about school things, because when you look at the materials within Minecraft, you have iron ore, you have coal, you have you have diamonds, you have all of these materials which are related to chemistry. And chemistry, I loved science, and I still love science, because exactly what it is that I didn't mention this before. I should have. It was around like I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. There was this book, and it was about how things work. And the front cover was an iPhone, an iPod. It's like there's little small iPods. It wasn't even an iPod Touch. It was the one with the dial, that circle thing at the bottom on that mini screen where you go around the dial and it moves the select up and down. And I did feature this in that YouTube video I did. I I still have that book. It's in my room now, and it shows you how things work. So I've always been into how things work. So how tech works. It would even tell you how the tech behind it, the tennis racket works, right? So that's what I was into with why I like science, because it's about how things work. So I was like, okay, Minecraft is going to be a way I can learn stuff for chemistry. It's going to help me, prepare for, chemistry when later I have to do tests and stuff. It will help me learn. Unfortunately, at that time, Minecraft was not, Microsoft didn't own Minecraft. It was a standalone thing created by Mojang. And you have Notch the creator, and you have Dinnerbear and all these people who were running it, and it was like not many people on the team. Then, like years later, I believe around 2015, Microsoft acquired Minecraft, and the direction they took it, I recently figured out about 2019, because I did stop playing Minecraft in about around 2015. I played it for like 3 years, I think, 2-3 years. I found out that that's exactly what they're doing now. Microsoft has changed Minecraft in the sense that they have Microsoft Education, in which you can now teach people how to code, but not only just how to code, how to do chemistry, how to, there's this thing where you can create a whole spaceship. It's like teaching them. You can teach them anything now in Minecraft. You can teach them maths. You can teach them English. You can teach them chemistry, anything. So now that's what I wanted when I was younger. When I wanted to start Minecraft, I didn't have
Minecraft
that,
education is really
and now
cool.
I'm like so happy that they have it now, because that's what I want. I'm so happy that now kids have that. And
Also, we have the opportunity to introduce kids to it as MSPs because we've got Minecraft education. That's one of the most amazing things, I believe.
Exactly. In fact, what was actually happening in my last mentorship session is that I was showing the mentees Minecraft Education Edition, and so I showed them the normal. So I was trying to see what they wanted to do. It was like, which world do you want to do? There's a bunch of templates. So if you do want to check it out, you just need a school education account. Office 365, right? You can log in and like there's a bunch of templates. So like there was one we first started off with, I believe I showed them the world we made for David's birthday, and so we got to this thing where we were talking about okay, which world do you actually want to join? Do you want to join this? And we ended up going to the spaceship world thingy. So we had to build a whole spaceship. We didn't do that because no one could join. Well, no, people could join, but then we changed the server, and one of the mentees, he wanted to do chemistry. So I was like, hey, everyone, do you want to do chemistry? Do you want to join the underworld? And no one really had an opinion apart from one person. When people agree, they're like, yeah, whatever, I don't mind. So no one's giving their opinion until one person puts it. And then I'm like, okay, is everyone okay with that? And then everyone's like, yeah, no, I don't mind. So I was like, okay, fine. We're doing chemistry. Does anyone object? It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.75, 0.5. 9 of 10.
Yeah,
8
that
of 10.
sounds really inspiring and informative. Uh, we might have many who could relate to your story, Salman. I'm very curious to know something like, even before I was an MSP, I'd heard a lot about you. How do you come around to forming such a vast network?
Wow. I before you went MSP, how did you how
People
how
know you, Salman, everywhere. You have a very vast network and reach in this time and day, right? So
Yes.
how would you describe going from was this the case before you were in MSP, or is it something that's happened recently, or is it something that you're finding out about only now? That'd be really fun. But anyway,
um
so yeah,
in
how
terms of hmm, in terms of reach, so when I was younger, I used to do a lot of this Minecraft stuff, as I said, right? And I used to there's this, and none of these things are supposed to be sound value or anything. Anything I say in here is not supposed to sound value. It's to talk about, I guess, like the sense of community, and that I'm really obsessed with the community, right? So I used to go on Minecraft servers, and I would be on there like 24/7 trying to help the community to get rid of people who are abusing the system and hacking. Okay, I know it sounds kind of kind of uh, hypocritical because I used to do all this hacking stuff, but you realize you learn from your mistakes, okay? And then like I would be on these servers, and I ended up being like a moderator and admin or for one of the biggest Minecraft PvP servers. And this was like a soup PvP server. And I would literally again just be on the server all day, just messaging, trying to help people. And that was I was like 13, 14. Okay, and that distracted me a lot from school, unfortunately. But I love doing it, and I don't know, I still do that now. I think like I just like interacting and helping people, and it does distract me a lot. I think from when I could be studying, but I try to manage both. It's about priorities, I guess, in the end. But I was the so I used to do Minecraft on YouTube as well. So I got to like 8 subscribers, I think, and then I deleted my YouTube channel, and then I've always been into the whole community thing. Well, I used to do Twitch streams as well. I was again like 13, and we would have like teams of like 20 people just doing a whole game. When there would be individuals playing in the game, it was very unfair because I would have like a team of 20, and I would be against like one individual all the time. But like it it's about I don't know, I really enjoy the community, and like nothing's the same. I made a tweet actually yesterday, and I can't remember exactly how I said it, or was it this morning? I might be able to find it. It was like talking about, I'll just say it off the top of my mind. It's like imagine if you were on this world on this
yeah,
world
I saw that one. If you
imagine
were
you
in the world alone without any community and without anybody to talk to, that one. The one with the really
Yeah.
cool landscape thing. Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah. I love photography too. Yeah. I'll get it up. Let me find it. I tweet so much on my. Yeah. Okay. Imagine a world without community. This is just coming off the top of my mind. This is stuff I don't know. It's like sometimes I just have random thoughts. So imagine a world without community. Imagine you were the only human on the planet. Now imagine what it would be like to work together with others, to collaborate on amazing projects together, and to help others find that sense of community. And it's showing a picture of a lonely house in isolation with a lake.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that house is symbolizing I guess you could say, the separation from the network that you get in big cities. The big cities thrive because they have such a vast network. You're able to work together and create amazing things, and that's what is possible in any community, no matter where you are. I think because with
Mm-hmm.
others, there's no I in team. The power of two people working together is like 200%, right? Now, please don't
Yes.
get into the maths start. I know, I know some of you, we have lengthy discussions on maths, but even through my group project, my group in university, when we started our project, I was saying, wow, us working on this group project, there's 6 of us, that's 600% of the work. I could put
Mm-hmm.
in 100% of my effort into my own project, but it will only be 100% which comes out. Now that 100% can scale as to how much I put in, but it's like what I can never do 6 people. I can never do the work of 6 people in the same amount of time that one person can. And that's what happens with community. I don't think this is really answering your question, but I don't know. I've always been into community. It's
Were you involved in organizing events back before you were in MSP and everything? Like, or was it something that you started doing after you became an MSP?
So absolutely, I was involved in trying to organize events. I was in my first year of university, I used to run this computing society at my university called the Alan Turing and Ada Lovelace Society. So Alan Turing, that guy, with the Enigma machine, and then you have Ada Lovelace, who is like the first ever female coder,
The
and
first ever coder,
she
actually.
came up. Yeah, sorry, first ever coder, and she was female. And then, so she celebrated a lot in women in tech, and I think, she was the first one to come up with scripting, and it's amazing. So that's the name of the society. So yeah, I would try to have to set up events and all those things. It was a lot harder because obviously as a first year student, when you're fresh out of school and you're just going, I just went to Microsoft events and I would try to ask people if I could set up a Microsoft event, and like in order for them to take that plunge and to say yes, they actually have to see something, I guess. And when you don't have much experience behind yourself at that age, and I'm saying when I'm like 18 or 19, I think it was 18. I don't know. When I'm that age, and like you're just coming, it's that whole thing where people they might be like, "Wow, you're too young for this. I'm not going to take you seriously," because they're normally used to being booked on big events where it's actually an agency and things like that. So yeah, I definitely had to set up events, and I would, but it was a lot harder. And also I was very limited into who I could get to come to events. Like I would try to, sometimes there would be days where I was literally in the society meetings. No one would turn up. I would just stay there for like 2 hours sitting there waiting in case someone came. Because if someone they come and it's like late in the night or something and like I'm not there, it will be like, okay, I need to be there in case someone comes. But when you lead a society, I'm sure many of you know what it's like. You always have to be there no matter what. And it's like sometimes maybe only 10 people would come, or 20 people, or like 5 people, and it fluctuates. And that does with MSP Inspire at the beginning. We would have maybe 5 people. We did a whole, if you look back on MSP Inspire, the YouTube channel, right, the third video we posted had like 7 people in the event. And that's the thing. always starts with, you know, it has to start from a low number a lot of the time, and then
To
over
now an
time
average
it
of
goes.
350, I guess, on the last session, wasn't it?
I don't think that was the last one, but that last, yeah, it's it I don't know. It's very, the thing is, right? A lot of the time, people only might see the peaks. They might only see the people who, or the things which peak. You know, you don't always see what's below. So if you look at a mountain, or a mountain which is coming out, is that what it's called? Or like an iceberg? Okay, you have mountains which come out of the water too. But if you look at an
The tip of the
iceberg, you only see
iceberg.
the tip of it sometimes. Yeah, and so
Yes.
much is submerged underneath. That's how they teach you in psychology in terms of the conscious and the subconscious and the unconscious. So it's like, yeah, people might see it now as like, yeah, it's so big, but it comes from such a long journey of being told, or like being not able to do anything, having no one turning up to all these events after so much planning, and then like let not only like me down, but potentially letting other people who, you know, would have wanted it to be great. And because I do this for the community, and if I can't organize an event where people don't want to attend, that's me letting them down. It's not that I'm letting myself down and I'm saying, oh well, I need this many people to come, but it's I'm letting them down because I haven't given them a good enough event for them to want to come to. So yeah, definitely the transition going into like a global audience is amazing, but I also feel like I also need to help a lot in the local community. So when I went to uni, like doing events for them, for the local meetup groups and things, I feel like I need to help them as well. But yeah, it's I don't think I'm that. I feel like you're putting me on a pedestal, but to know that I guess you knew me before the whole MSP community. That's a nice feeling to know that, you know, I'm potentially helping outside as well. But yeah, it's amazing. Like another thing, going back to that whole iceberg point, people might, if we're talking about knowing me before the MSP community, maybe, you know, you might see me there, but there's so many people who are within the community who won't want to be on social media, who won't really post that's like super amazing, because like there's so many cool people in here who don't want to post to social media or who don't put themselves out there. And that's why I think any of you who are watching as a non-MSP, you should all sign up to the student partner program and join us. You know,
Yeah.
there's
We
so
have a
many
lot
people
of
I talk
fun
to
together.
who are just changed my life. Yeah, and we're not just. I myself am a proper big Microsoft fanboy. Okay, but like not
Completely.
everyone, maybe not everyone is. And we do other things. So we do music, and we do fun games and stuff like that. Yeah,
We make
it's
friends all over the world.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah. So, as you said, you used to have a problem conducting events or organizing community initiatives before you became an MSP. Did these things change after you became an MSP, and how so?
It, it's not entirely at the beginning. It doesn't entirely at the beginning, because you still have to make an effort to do them yourself, and you need to you know, if when you're starting from nowhere again, you get put in a community where there's like 2,000. At the time it was like 1,200 people, I think, and it's like, okay, you have to start doing stuff yourself, and you have to like myself, I was the only MSP from my university. Okay, and I was also new. This was my first year at that university because I just transferred. So it's like I had to collaborate with people at my university, and also I had to, you know, try to find my way in this community. Luckily, like I would stumble across these meetings of the which would go on, like for example the Middle Eastern Africa stuff, which were the Inspire sessions, and talking to such amazing people like Dawood, Ganesh back then, getting that Ganesh. I guess the first time I ever spoke to him was because I was introducing him to do a session on live share and VS Online, which is now called VS Code Spaces. So it's like, yeah, no, I don't know. It's like the connections which start out as genuine are so amazing because where it gets to the stage where it's like, I don't know, because you grow together and you work together, and then I want to help other people grow as well. So that's why we're doing this whole mentorship program, trying to give everyone the best experience. Like when I joined, I was lucky to find these people, but not everyone has that experience. Not everyone has people who they can connect to. So that's what the mentorship program, one of the biggest reasons, is to give you a community. Because I know in the Google student developer community, they have these summits or something for new onboarding. So we wanted to give back that same experience to MSPs, but obviously we are not program managers of the MSP program. So the only way we can do that is by doing something virtual. And that's what we're trying to do here, trying to give people a group that they can connect to, like how I was lucky to stumble across people at the beginning. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people that community sense at the beginning in your small mentorship groups that you're within one. And I think it's going well. It takes some time for people to take the, but I keep talking about ice and icebergs today. Oh, it is. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. I
Yeah,
mean, icebergs are a good example. Okay, we've spoken, I think, quite a lot about community. Moving towards the professional side of things, even though I feel like community is a very integral part of our professions as people in the world of tech. Um, can you tell us something about your technical interviews? Maybe we can start with your first technical interview that you ever faced, and like how was it? How did you go about the interview and all of that? How did you get the interview and stuff?
Oh yeah, okay. Wow. My first one, that was a long time ago. So when I first started uni, so I'm in second year of uni. My first technical interview was in first year. And it was like the first month of university, I think, for me. And um, you know, there was this company, and I think they were looking for graduates, and they had this career fair, and you know, I being me, I'm interested in being an internship in the summer, or just even working as soon as I can to get experience at that age. Okay, I would literally speak to one of my lecturers, and it was the same lecturer who I was referencing earlier on today, Salman. It was so I would say I would get involved in his research, and I still have the app, which was being developed for that research purpose. And so I try to get involved in his research, and I was into all these extra things like doing the society stuff, extracurricular. So going to a career job fair was another cool thing. So I there was this one where I ended up doing the whole technical interview. It was for like a C#.NET job. Okay, and one of the things I was studying for was the C# 7243 exam, which is an exam which is being retired now, but it's used for people. Is basically if you've been in the industry for at least 1 year, you sit that exam. So I was trying to study for that, and they thought maybe they would just give me a technical interview and stuff. So they gave me this problem, and solution. It was a long problem. Okay, I did it. Okay, and it was like one of these technical. It wasn't like a whiteboarding one. It was create this program for us to do this. So I did it, and it was challenging because I never had ever done technical interview stuff before. The only other experience I had before that was like, hey, draw a Christmas tree using stars in console, and like find do the square of this number. That's, I think, like the most exposure I had. I guess the other exposure was that I created a rocket gravity assist simulation in high school, which was using rocket science basically and mechanics. But apart from that, it was like my first ever technical interview, and that was challenging. But what I learned from that, is that you never give up. You might think that you won't get there, and there's that quote which I have spoken about before from Roosevelt, and it's that you may not be at the solution now, but you can always make changes. So I kept trying, I got it, and turns out that my solution was less than half, I think, of the solutions which were available online. I think there was one other solution for this problem, and it was like 200 plus lines, and then my one was 100, and I was like, to me that you can, like, some people, they can go online and they can look up the solutions and they can get the copy and paste that, but it's like you're not learning from doing that. And also yourself, if you figure out a better solution in like less than half the line, that's going to be way more impressive, I think, to the recruiters and everything. So I got that, and I think they were really impressed with it. So I went to the next stage, and that's where I think the mistake happened, because I told them I was studying for this exam, and I really was, but I hadn't studied that much for it because I just started studying for that exam, and they started giving me questions which were very specific to the language, because that exam is very much specific to the language of C#. So at that time they were asking me things, I think, which maybe I can't say exactly what the questions were, but maybe stuff like, I enumerator and like I enumerable. So I'm sure many of you know what that is in C#, but these things which a first year, 2 months into university or 1 month, not knowing exactly what those things are, that's a bit harsh, I think. But it's I've learned from that, and like going from that, it's that, okay, I now know what sort of thing to expect. I can then keep learning, and I kept training for the exam. Unfortunately, that exam's now retired. So I'm now I sat other exams as well, but it I think it's I've learned a lot in terms of just never give up. But I think I've always had that mentality anyway, because like I grew up playing music, and my my a lot of it is just not practice makes perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect.
So
Something like that.
that's absolutely incredible, hearing about how you solved a problem in almost half the lines of code than it was before, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
So,
that's really great
I
to see
know,
such positive changes happening once you join the MSP community as well. Your exams and stuffs, that are actually great. Now, talking about your life experiences, Salman, when did you start applying for the year-long internship that you had to go, and what was the application experience like?
So I applied, I think, in like December the 20th or something, and yeah, it was pretty late. And then the experience, it's pretty nice, because I think one thing about interviews is that when it's the right company, because you enjoy the interview itself, right? You never want to, I think, force yourself into an interview and fake your personality. And you never want to, not enjoy working there. So I've had other interviews where it's like, yeah, I mean, like it's a great company, but I don't really enjoy what the job is. I don't enjoy what the job would be. I don't enjoy the culture. I don't enjoy the way the staff are. I'm not saying I've ever experienced the last two in terms of I don't enjoy the the culture and the way the staff are. They're all nice, and the culture is always really nice. But in terms of what the actual internship is, and like you know, what you're actually going to do, I didn't always enjoy that for the companies I would interview for. But you know, being a whole Microsoft fanboy, I really enjoy everything about Microsoft. So it was like, you know, for me it was really fun, and you know, having a whole history of Microsoft, being in the Windows Insider program for 5 years, really gears you up for just knowing everything about Microsoft, pretty much. Because like, so for me it was like really fun and really relaxed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like for me, like if someone says anything, any Microsoft technology,
Yeah.
I don't know everything about all these Microsoft technologies, but if there's something which they say which I know, then like I can go on a tangent about it non-stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking back,
like
do you
in the
see
interview,
anything? Looking back, do you see anything you could have done differently? Like something that you would want to change, or something that you want to do it in a different form?
in life in general.
Yes.
Or maybe the interview process we can start with, and then you can go to life in general.
In interview process,
Or maybe looking for
definitely
internship process, maybe.
looking for internship process. Start when I was in high school. I would have done that. I should have started then.
Won't that be
Because
too early?
no, because what they do here is they do. You have people I think who like my friend was when I was in high school. He had like I think he had a mini internship or like a day in the work. But I think that's I'm not saying it's because of that, but it's like some people have those connections when they're younger, so they can easily get in to do like because they're family. So they could say, yeah, you know, your dad could, for example, your dad could like take you to have a work experience at a job, and that would happen, I think, a lot for people, because you know they had relatives and stuff, and I feel like that's what I wanted to do, but it was a lot harder. I did have this experience where we went on a school trip and we did go to a company called VMware. I'm sure many of you know that company. It's like
Definitely heard of the company.
virtualization and stuff. Yeah. So that was a really nice experience. It was like a day. The thing is, I didn't know that there was another thing. What I did, okay, I went to this. So I went to a grammar school, and grammar schools, they're like the selective schools where you have to apply to get in and everything, and they're like very academics. So like do this for academics only, and it's very much one track focused towards uni. Okay, there's no other option apart from uni. It's like they prepare you for uni. Okay, and then like I didn't know about apprenticeships really until we had one presentation at the end of at the end of school, when it's too late to apply for apprenticeships. But they were like, "Hey, does anyone has anyone considered apprenticeships?" I think we had like 2 hands in the whole hall of like 150 people. And it's like, okay, no one knew what they were. But now when thinking about it, if I could change that, I probably might have like looked into maybe seeing different options, like internships and apprenticeships at that age. But it was just like so much academic focus at that stage of life, that like it wasn't very known. And like you could do a degree apprenticeship, or you could do an apprenticeship. Like Microsoft has an apprenticeship program in the UK where you do your whole, like you could literally be like 21, and I think you've already got 5 years experience at Microsoft when you finish your apprenticeship, and that's amazing. Honestly, that's just if I that's something maybe. Obviously, there's going to be things which I can want or like you know think I could have done differently, but I'm really grateful for the way it's turned out now. But yeah, if I knew that would have been nice, I probably would have still went to uni. Well, at that age, yes, because I didn't know much about it, but yeah, very, very into exploring different options. So, during uni allows you to explore both research and the technical side, or the job side as well, which is what I try to do. That's why, doing the whole society and then like applying to jobs whilst at university as well.
Yeah. Now,
So
is there
what
is
you
there
make of it.
something you think everyone should be aware of as an applicant? Like some tricks and tips, maybe?
For technical interviews, and for placements
Yes.
and internships in general, make stuff like projects. Just have fun with it, and that's something which you can show, because a lot of things now are online. Your LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn. You can't always send. Nowadays, you can't really send people your CVs, I think, or because of GDPR on like LinkedIn, but you can make a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And then your LinkedIn profile is basically your CV. So that, and then like GitHub, so like doing stuff on GitHub, that's showing people that you can actually do something, as opposed to just believing what people put on the CV and LinkedIn. Like for me, I started doing stuff on GitHub, and that will be more public stuff. And then like my HoloLens project, I put that on GitHub, and it was it's accessible for the whole world to see, and it's open source. So like now any recruiter, I don't know if they'll ever see my GitHub, but like they
You have
can
100
I can put that as a link.
repositories.
200 repositories actually, I think.
100
But
public
100
repositories.
public.
Yes.
Yeah. There's like, yeah, that's your online thing which they can all visit. So, and also like writing a blog, something which actually you you're not like just being present on social media. I think nowadays is a good thing, because you're not
Yeah.
just a piece of paper anymore. You're a personality. And I think some people, I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, but me personally, I like to not just be a robot. I don't mind showing a bit of personality on videos in social media, because at the end of the day, I'm not just going to be 100% a robot. So, showing that you have a personality myself on social media can potentially be a benefit. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah,
But you're
we've
not
got a
just a piece
quote,
of
I
paper anymore.
guess.
You're a
You're
person.
not just, yeah. This is
Yeah.
something we can all quote and put it up on our walls somewhere, on our notice boards or soft boards, and be like, this is what you are. You're not just your resume anymore. And
Yeah.
that, I think, are
Exactly.
golden words. Great piece of advice. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Oh my god, I'm learning so much right now.
I actually learned that from someone else, right? Okay. The person who wrote the 72 483 C sharp exam book, I met him in person, wrote the second edition. And this was only written in 2018. So I don't.
You
So
mentioned this in one of your articles on LinkedIn, don't you? The meeting with this
yes.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he told me to write a blog. So that was my first ever blog. That's why I wrote it. And I had planned so many more blogs, but I ended up doing the video thing about university and everything, and then just get busy with a lot of things, university and MSP Inspire stuff, and then so it's like I don't really write anymore. It's more of managing other people's events and trying to help those.
Wow.
So like, this is why I guess you never really see me actually doing an event on MSP Inspire up until recently. But doing what the ones with Gomo is more of, I think, to help give it's nice to do something with Gomo, and like I think he should get heard and stuff. But it's like me being there, I guess, to support him as well. And we both have that passion, so we I guess it fits that we both talk on that. But apart from that, the only MSP Inspire talks I think you would have ever heard me done is back in like November or like September when it first started. Now it's more about putting a platform for other people to speak on, and that's why we always have guests. I
We're
guess, yes,
lucky
I do
we've got you
present,
here.
but that's Yeah,
You're
so
lucky
it's
to
nice.
be
It's
here.
nice to sometimes like talk on other platforms as well, which is awesome. Like I'm so grateful to be here. I can't
So,
remember exactly. Like there was this thing, right? There's this quote I always reference this, and it's like, you can learn so much from one person, and they can learn so much from you. Because everyone has their own story. They have their own life. Okay, if someone's 5 years old, they have 5 years of experience, and they're only 5 years old. They can teach you how to see the world from a different perspective, and that's what on an infant from a different point of view. It's basically like this, like and
so
that's a quote which I read when I was like 12. And then the other quote, I don't want to much too many quotes. I love psychology and quotes.
that's good to know. So, we spoke about your basic, the way you applied to interviews, got applied to your internships and got interviews and stuff. So, we all know you got accepted as a CSA intern in Microsoft. But prior to that, were there rejections that you faced? And like, what was when you faced a certain rejection? There might have been some that hit harder than others, maybe. So, can you tell us a little bit about how us? What first things first. Did you, in any case, face any rejections at all? That's something we need to know before I go ahead.
Obviously, yes. So that my tone of voice probably came, again. I don't know what's wrong with my tone of voice today. It probably came off a bit weird when I said obviously, but yes. That first job which I mentioned for the technical one, that was a rejection, and I learned a
Yeah,
lot
like
from
how do you cope with rejections personally? Like, has there been a specific rejection that has hit you harder than others, and you're like, you expected to get it, you wanted to get it, and you were really good, you had a great experience through the entire process, and then you didn't make it. Sometimes when we're all in that space where we're defeated at times, how do you, if that has happened to you, and again, if I'll have to like, has that happened? Must have.
There was this Microsoft store, which opened in London, and they were interviewing like 200 people every single day. I was lucky to be one of them, and I thought, this is this is this is like last year in actually 2 years, I think, when they started the interview process, like end of 2018, and so, did that, got to the in-person round. Being a Microsoft fanboy, I thought, it was so fun. And like, I can quote lines from that interview. I won't, but it's like, I know Microsoft employees at that store, which I would go to and talk to, like, because I would go to that store like so frequently, just hanging out with employees there. But it's like I know the stuff from the interview and the stuff that they did, that they do at the store, because I remember stuff from that day. It's like it was such an amazing interview day. You know, I think sometimes I can be a bit too enthusiastic. So it's like, uh, I was like super, super into it and stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. I thought I would, because it's basically that, working at the store is basically, what I was, it was like helping customers, and that's what I was doing, with Minecraft and everything. And like being in my school leadership team when I was in high school, and being a mentor for someone for like 2 years back then. It was like, yeah. But unfortunately, well, that was going to be my first ever job. So, I didn't have any experience in terms of marketing. A lot of people got headhunted for that job, on LinkedIn, but unfortunately, I applied to, and I didn't have the experience to talk about as much. I could talk about my experience being like a mentor, or like being in this leadership team, or doing all these other things, but no job experience at all. And this was like 2019 when that interview was going on at the beginning. So it's that did probably hit a bit hard back then. I can't remember
So then,
exactly how I felt.
yeah, but like in such situations, how do you bring yourself out of such situations? How do you cope with such? Do you have a certain go-to mechanism that you follow, or do you have, like, is there some advice you could give to somebody from your experience who might be going through something similar sometime in their life? Like, could you share how you get out of that headspace?
For me, it's normally that I think that, everything happens for a reason. So there's no point like dwindling. Is that the right word? Or, like dwindling over it, like just like dwelling over the whole situation. Because like, okay, it's happened, but maybe there's something better that will happen. It's having that positivity and growth mindset, knowing that okay, I'm not there now, but maybe I will be in the future. So I just need to keep trying and not get pushed down by it. And that's what happens. Either way, what happens, like for that technical interview I did, I learned so much. Even though I didn't get the job, I learned so much trying to learn how to do that program. I had to, learn so much because like they were expecting me to be way better than I was. So I learned that thing. And that's the thing. You learn from these experiences, and you don't use failures as if they're not failures to me. They are stepping stones. Right? Edison, 1,000 steps to create a light bulb, not 1,000 failures. And it's like knowing that okay, maybe I'm not there now, but in the future I will be, or I could be. And it's like okay, there's things happen for a reason. I think is that helps me a lot, knowing that okay, it's the best thing for me now. Okay, and like looking back at it, it means that I would do if I did get that job, I wouldn't have been open to transferring universities because I would have had to, you know, just quit that job, and that would have been like the dream to be working at the store. And I wouldn't have wanted to give that up to transfer universities. But then because I didn't, I was able to transfer universities. But now from there, it somehow happened that I'm now doing what I'm doing now. And it's like looking back at it, it's like maybe that was the best thing because it was the best thing for me because it didn't stop me from transferring. It didn't stop me from going on the path I am now. But it's like realizing that in retrospect, but also anticipating that retrospect from past and knowing that okay, I'm here now. In the future, maybe I'll look back at it and think that was the best thing that happened to me. So being rejected from companies sometimes it's like just wiring your brain to think, okay, it's the best thing for me, perhaps, and not just like in your mind it might be the best thing to get it, but you never know that not going on that path will open up so many other doors for you, like it did for me. Not going to work at the Microsoft store opened up the path for me to transfer universities and then MSP program. And like, I wouldn't have been an MSP if I worked at the store, right? Because that's one of the things I wanted to do, to like work at the store. But why would I, being an MSP employee, you can't be oh, actually, I don't know, you can as an intern, but yeah, it's basically closing one door opens many others. If you look into when you have dormant synapses, it opens up other pathways in your brain, and that's why you have people who are potentially they're blind, but they're so skilled in other areas in life because the synapses and the pathways open. And that's more of a science aspect of it to show that it's not, I guess, just motivational speak and mumbo jumbo.
No, that's amazing. Yeah. So
That's why I like psychology, because it's how the brain works, like how tech works.
psychology is fascinating. I find it very fascinating myself, even though I do not know as much about it as you do. That's commendable. You know quite a lot. Uh,
I don't. I have so much more to learn.
we all have so much more to learn, and that's a lot. That's very humble of you. You know, you're always. Anyways, I think we've got to move forward. In situations, a few weeks, or should I say, a month or two ago, you had a number of Twitter polls on your Twitter asking if I don't remember them correctly, but I think a lot of people would, if somebody had to choose between a position that was at a bigger company but not one that they wanted, and then if there was one that they wanted and not at a bigger company, and then there was one a poll that you ran which said what scale of a company would people prefer working in. So I feel like that was a part of your decision making at a certain time where you had multiple paths that you could choose from. Am I right?
Um, I guess
So
maybe,
yeah, yeah.
maybe not.
So my question is that when you have a dilemma of sorts, or if you've got you're at a crossroad, then how do you proceed? How do you go about making decisions, difficult decisions? When you've got something.
Well, I always, I can never. It's something which comes with wisdom and knowledge, right? So for me, having never experienced that, that's where doing these polls and asking people what their experience is and what they think really helps, because they've been through situations where they've maybe worked at a big company and then they've worked at a smaller company, and they've worked in a job where they had fun, and a job where they didn't have much fun, and like things like that. It sounds really simple, but like these things make a difference. And when I was doing my internship at the Salman, it was, I was speaking to someone who, they worked, they worked at like a huge, bank, but they didn't really enjoy it. And now they were at this medium-sized company with like 200 employees in the office. So it was like hearing his perspective and seeing that, okay, he didn't enjoy the bigger company, but then he enjoyed the smaller company more. And then myself, having worked at a startup before that, knowing what it was like to work in a small company, and then knowing what it was like to work in that 200 size company in that office. So I had experience both small and medium. I only had those two experiences, and they were both tech, and I also had the other job, which was like customer sort of facing, I guess you could say, which was at my university in photography. But it was like I don't have, that's all my experience. Okay, I don't have the wisdom to be able to, know what would be best. So having to weigh up decisions and offers and like thinking about, okay, what is this one? Is it, what people think? But at the end of the day, most of it just comes down to what you think. You can get all these justifications and these reasonings from other people, but those are just there to potentially distract you from your own reasonings. And then when I got the offer from Microsoft, it was like straight away yes, like because I think more
Do we lose audio? Or
I've lost connection. Hello.
Yeah, you there?
yeah.
Hi. I don't know what just
Hi.
happened. Where did I cut out?
You said you got the Microsoft offer and it was a definite yes, and then you got off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I was so like not knowing fully what internships you have applied to as well, to some aspect, because like cloud solution architect is a very broad role, and I was, and it's like your day-to-day job can change so much.
Yes.
So I think it's more of justifying whether or not it will, I don't know, is hard. But obviously, when you get off, when I got off, it was like a definite yes. I think it was more of, if I didn't get it, I could maybe feel maybe a bit happier. I don't know. But yeah, because it was gonna be definitely a sad moment if I didn't get it, and knowing that potentially, no, I'm not losing out totally, because a lot of people would think working at these other companies would be better in terms of, and my polls were very broad, so they weren't saying, oh, I'm working, I got this offer from this company, I got this offer from another company. It was more of just want to see what people think in general and how the experience has actually turned. Yeah, and well, yeah, but yeah, obviously,
That's
never
probably
turning
the
down the
best.
offer. I want to stay there my whole life.
Yeah.
I want to live there.
That's probably the best answer I could have heard of, Salman. That's simply perfect. Now let's move on with our next question. What would your plans be post graduating the MSP program? What would you start up with, or where would you start from, and stuffs like that?
Yeah, so I've got like another 2 years of uni, but I well, when I say uni, I mean like until I finish my degree. But my plan, is to work at Microsoft forever and to work there full time. So the one thing I do want to do, definitely, again, can't stop mentioning, is give back to the community. So starting out being a Windows Insider, starting out being part of the MSP program was all a community thing. So if I can, there's people like Archiditi, and you have Lee Stott from the UK, you have Andrew, okay, you have so many people who give back to the community, that they're helping students rise. So that's what I want to do. I want to help students rise. I want to help not just students, but everyone. I want to help them rise. I want to be able to travel around the world and help people who are underprivileged. That's what I was doing before the MSP program. I was teaching underprivileged students, or like the girls only school who might not have access, they didn't have access to technology in terms of computer science. So, I always want to be able to give back to the community and, in the future help MSPs, have someone who they can talk to, because I think that would be something which could potentially help them. I might not be the best person to speak to in terms of like I might not give them any value, but I want to at least try. And I think that will at least be something which will benefit them. But yeah, I want to, if working at Microsoft full time, be able to help with the MSP community as well. I'm trying to help the UK community grow a lot. So if I can help at all in that aspect, yeah, I wanna, be able to, if so, like, there's people out there, like for example, Donna and Mary and Chris Capsella and all these people who, like, when you get like a comment from them or a message, like early on today. When I was in a call with Salman, I was like, I don't know if Salman remembers, but I was like, oh my days, Donna's so nice. Oh my days, oh my days. Well,
Yes, yes, yes.
that feeling, I want to be able to give that feeling to other people. I just message them and they'll get like, I want to be able to give them that motivation, help them succeed. And, I, I know I'm just in university now. I do want to make a big impact in the world, but I also want to make other people have a big impact in the world. I want to make, Chris and Donna were saying on Twitter, I want to find the heroes and make people those heroes, that they make them the best versions of themselves they can be. And again, that's what the mentorship program is about. Improving other people's experiences and making them succeed. And making them even succeed more than I could ever. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to help underprivileged people, and also, growth mindset. If I can keep learning for my whole life, being like a tree until the day I die, and remain grounded, rooted, roots go even further in the ground. That's something I do. And unfortunately, I can never know how I'm going to turn out, but that's something I aim to do. And I hope I'm always humble and stuff, and helpful to the community.
We're done with our questions. We've got some questions from the live that now we like from the live chat, and yeah, so we'll be proceeding with those. Rohit?
Yes, Simran can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, hey Salman, hope you are enjoying the evening, and I hope same for our guests. So, a question from the audience. Adil asks how to get started with computer science and suggestions and tips and tricks for a head start. He also adds how to get started with interacting with people, how to develop people skills.
I'm probably the worst person to ask when it comes to people skills, because I'm a very awkward person, I think, in terms of like I will be weird. Well, I think being weird's good, but I'm not the average person. I think when it comes to social interactions, I will be my own self. So that's why I recommend be your own self. Don't change yourself for others, and then you'll find people who will like you for who you are. So that's my advice for people skills. Just reach out to people, because that person, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So just message someone, they might message back. And that could lead to so many more things. And advice for the computer science. I don't know if you're asking, well, computer science itself, learning, I guess, algorithms, data structures, computer architecture, assembly, things like that. Computer science is very different from software engineering and cloud and stuff. So it's computer science itself. Normally, there's this is the website which goes into the curriculum of most universities for computer science, which is quite good. I can try find it, and if you message me, I can give it, hopefully.
Yep, Salman. And you're fun to be around with. Over to our next question.
Hi. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, another question is from Sambhav, and I can completely resonate. What advice would you give to people who are passionate about tech but find coding and programming language tough?
Right. Sambhav is an amazing coder, so I think I don't know. I think Salman might be one of the best coders ever. Okay. I actually haven't seen Salman's code. I've heard what he said he's done, so I think he definitely knows code already. But if you're passionate about tech but aren't into code, try Power Apps. Okay, try the Power Platform. You're basically doing everything that tech can do, but without code. Okay, now it's very cool. Okay, we check out the MBAT, the Microsoft Business Application Summit Hackathon, the Hack for Good. All those applications, there were 55 teams from across the world who were creating a solution with tech for good without code. So try that. You basically learn the concepts of coding through that as well, and then you can take that easy route. And that's why when people start out with MakeCode or Microsoft Minecraft MakeCode, you start off with block coding and then you transition into the other things. Because at the end of the day, coding is block coding, but you have to type it. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's more about problem solving. Problem solving is the key, because Donna put it really nicely in the Microsoft Business Application Summit, is that we don't use toys to as gimmicks and stuff, and we don't use tech for toys, but we use it because we can improve the lives of others. I can't remember exactly what the quote was, but something like that. To improve the lives of others and to make a difference, to help others.
Yep, Salman. I agree absolutely. So another interesting question.
Pardon?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Sambhav says in the chat, this is the exact answer I was expecting. You're amazing.
But Sambhav is amazing. He needs to be on this podcast.
We'll make sure he's on this podcast as soon as we can get him on it. We will try our best.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. Please go ahead, Rohit.
Okay, Simran. So we have another question from the audience. Prajol asks, how do you manage your time? How are you always productive yet give sufficient amount of your time to the community? How do you manage all this jumping?
I was thinking about this the other day. But I think I just commit to everything, so it kind of pressures me into doing everything. So I don't know. I don't really. I know it's. Like, I can say no, and sometimes I might, be able to say no. But like I don't know. I feel like for me it's just being able to prioritize what you actually really want to do. And at the end of the day, yeah, being able to prioritize things. We also do have this group, so uh, me, Simon, Pallavi, and Sambhav are in this group where Donna told us to do a textable tribe where we tell each other what how to do this for the day. Unfortunately, Sambhav doesn't have WhatsApp anymore, but
We
yeah,
moved the tribe
that's
to
a great
teams.
way. Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest early on. Yeah, just like tell people what you want to do. I don't know. It seems to work well because then you're sort of you're doing it together, and you all feel responsible to contribute to the group. Because you're like when if there's a day I miss talking in the group, it's like I feel bad because I haven't said anything in the group, and then it's like okay, to feel to help the group more, you need to actually give them something to do, and if you don't do that, then you're not really taking part. So it's like yeah, make a textable tribe. I guess that's what Donna suggested, and it worked. But we need to transition that to teams because of Sambav's football. I'm joking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for all of this. It was amazing having you here today. And thank you to the entire team we have here. We're so glad we had amazing response on this stream, and we have been streaming for how long right now? I think around an hour plus.
Yeah, we have been. We are here for
Whoa.
around 1.5 hours.
It was so good to hear from you, and I think we all of us learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
That we've heard so much that we've never heard before. This was amazing.
Yes,
Thanks a lot for thanks a lot for being here.
I apologize. Thanks for putting up with my really long answers, which were sort of roundabout, I think. And a lot of it,
That's
I think,
truly
was pointless,
Salman.
not what I said.
we seriously got to
Yeah,
hear you.
but that's you completely unfiltered, right? Ultra long
Yes.
answers and all your stories. It
Yeah.
was amazing to hear. And thanks to
There is so
everybody that
much more.
we'll do a second episode most probably. We'll
No,
do Salman Chishti
no,
Unfiltered Part 2.
Yeah,
I
we
tried
should.
to cut it down.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Let's talk
that was
about that
such a
later.
pleasure.
A special thanks to Sambhav too. He
Yeah.
did a lot.
Uh, Special thanks to Sambhav for helping us figure out the streaming part of things. And
Yeah.
last but not the least, definitely not the least, thanks to everybody that tuned in for our live stream and motivated us to keep going through this. Thanks a
Yes.
ton, every single one of you. And yeah, thanks a lot. I hope you learned as much as we did. Hope you had as much of a great time as we did. And yeah,
Hashtag
thanks.
do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, hashtag do the thing.
Oh,
And
wait, do we have something from Ganesh? We forgot to ask. Would you like to have gulab jamun? He is asking.
Ah, yeah,
oh,
no, but Nancy said she would give me one when I come to India. So I'll wait till that happens.
Yeah, we are still waiting for you to come.
I
mhm.
don't even know how that's gonna work. I've never, I've never, I've left the UK once since like 2013, 2012, and that wasn't
Oh
the
well.
best experience.
OMG.
Oh,
But
we
I
have
do want
people
to.
saying they're waiting for part two, so I think we might need a part two. So
Oh.
we should leave all of this conversation
I
for part two, I suppose.
I just blabbered
Uh-huh.
it. I don't know.
Pardon.
Why are people asking for a part two from me? All I'm saying is, I was saying a bunch of stuff from my life.
Yeah, and
If you do,
that's
can
the
I plug?
entire part of the initiative where because you're sharing stuff. I'm really sorry. You're sharing stuff from your life. That's what everybody can relate to, and they can, uh,
Exactly.
and that's very inspiring. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't be the only one here feeling that way. So that's just about it. That's why everybody wants part two.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
Well, we
what
had
that's
a
where the new
short snippet
inspiration
of
comes.
Simon's unfiltered life.
Yeah,
I'm always unfiltered. Let's just.
We are planning to have a unfiltered session for Simran too.
Yeah.
I do not
Simran
know about this.
unfiltered.
I'm on the hosting side of things, guys. Let's wrap up for the day.
Yes.
let's wrap up for the
Simran
day.
beats Simran beats herself up too much. She's actually amazing. Check out what she does. You know, Simran Makija. You know, and this year,
Let's
first
wrap
time
up.
I've ever interacted with her, and I've always seen her. I've always seen her in the community, but I've never spoken to her. And you know, Pallavi, he just joined. Amazing. You know, yeah, Rohit and his maths. Rohit knows a lot of maths. We had some long maths discussions. Simran was there too.
Okay.
Yes, we all
Thanks
really
a
had a
lot.
very great time. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
and
staying up with us till the very end. Please hit that like button and just make sure that you're subscribed if you haven't already for more of our awesome contents.
we'll be
Goodbye,
coming with a new
guys.
episode every week,
Yes.
most likely. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Salman, once again. And goodbye.
Also,
And good day to those.
we will be circulating feedback form. Please fill it.
Yeah,
Please just find 2 minutes, and we'll be super
find the
happy.
feedback in our description and please fill it for us and let us know how we can improve. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Salman, and thanks, Anusaya, Pallavi, Rohit, Sambhav,
Thanks
who's
a
there.
lot to all.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Bye
Take
bye.
good care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye,